thank you guys. Thank you. I want a couple thank yous. One, I was driving up here. You got 2 hours from Statesboro up to Macon. You think about what are the things that you love in life. I love my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I love my wife, Miss Angela. I love non-offensive touchdowns. I love wins followed by a bye week. And I love a good fried pork chop from the Methodist house. And I want to thank you. I'll never forget taking this job 2 years ago. And the first organization I got to see was the Macon Touchdown Club. It was the next day I came up and had the opportunity to sit here. And I've been here every year since. And it re-inspires me every time I come here. Because when I come here, I get to see legendary coaches like Coach Hatcher. I get to see Coach Dupree and Coach Carroll that are mentoring men that are fixing to be in our role in college football. And I just see the passion of people and community that want to help their community, but also honor and really grow the college football game. So thank you for what you do. This has been going on since 1946. Anytime you have a 78-year run, the longest in the great state of Georgia, that's a special group and a special thing. So thank you for having me and allowing me this honor. This is my third season in the great state of Georgia, and I can't tell you how much I love it, how much my wife loves it. We always talk about, she's always said, "Baby, I want to stay here for the rest of my life." I ask her why, and she goes, "Well, I love the people first. I love the people. I love the sense of community. I love the pace. I love the peace. And I absolutely love the passion that they have for football in this state." And we've witnessed it over the last, this being our third season at Georgia Southern, how much passion there is for the college football game and high school football, the greatest game on the face of the planet. It helps raise young men that are here today. It takes them from young men to grown men that are going to be great fathers, great husbands, great leaders in our community. The game, as always, teaches discipline. It's taught accountability. It's taught brotherhood. It's taught family, and it's taught putting something bigger than yourself. Putting team over self. And that's why I've done it. This is my 30th season going into it. My dad did it for over 50 years, both in the NFL and the college game. Grew up in the Southeast, got to witness SEC football and the passion, him being at the University of Florida when I was born and playing there. I got the opportunity to be with my second dad, I consider, and Coach Dye at Auburn University, and how much it changed my life. So I thank you for representing that game. At Georgia Southern, we're in a period right now where we're trying to go that way as fast as humanly possible. I'm proud of what we've done in the first 2 years, if going to postseason, playing bowl games, but as Coach Carroll knows and Coach Dupree know, they've made a foundation of championships. Every day I look out my window and there's 6 national championship flags that are going across, and you understand the tradition of excellence that you represent on a daily basis when you walk out there. Every day I've got the biggest, prettiest poster of Coach Russell staring dead at me with that mean look, with that ripped shirt saying "one more time" on it. And it just reminds me of it's a place of toughness, it's a place of discipline, and it's a place of accountability to your brother. And so I love representing each day. We're trying to do what they did now at the FBS level. We came in 2014, and we've been to 8 bowl games since. Now we've got to go take the next step and win championships and conference titles. We took a huge step this past weekend playing a former teammate of mine, Del McGee, who's going to do a great job at Georgia State and just get better and better and better. There'll be a challenge in years to come. But we took on a great non-conference schedule, I thought, playing Boise State early. And if you haven't seen Ashton Jeanty, watch him. He is phenomenal. They got to be one of the top 4 players in the country right now. I'd be shocked if he doesn't go to New York. We still haven't tackled him today, so he'd still be running if they allowed him. And then we got to play the Ole Miss Rebels and have a night game in that environment, which I thought, being able to go through that adversity of playing 2 top 25 teams, taking a road trip to Nevada, 5.5 hours away. That experience, I thought, really prepared us for conference. And we had a great win up at Georgia State last week, and we've got a bye this week. So one of my favorite things coming up. Gives us a chance to get healthy, gets us a chance to get ready for the next game, which will be huge. It'll be our Marshall game coming up at home. We have back-to-back home games against Marshall and then JMU, who's undefeated. So these next couple of weeks will be really important for us. I thank the great state of Georgia. We're built by Georgia products. And I look at Coach Breen, Coach Carroll, and the quality of coaching that has raised Georgia athletes is amazing. We came in to our program and said, we are going to sign high school football players. In the last 2 years, we've signed 61 high school football players and began to develop them. And now we look at going in our third season and where those kids are at. It's the reason that I think we will contend for a conference title this year. And I can't thank that out of those 61 high school football players, 47 are from the state of Georgia, and then the rest are from the surrounding states. We're going to follow the blueprint Coach Russell did. He took great talent from the state of Georgia. He developed them. He made them tough. He made them disciplined, and they went out and won championships. So we're mighty excited to represent that tradition. If you get a second and want to come see a great ball game, come down to Statesboro. I'm going to tell you, it's one of the neatest college game day experiences there is. There may be bigger stadiums, but this is the prettiest little stadium in America, as they say, and it is always filled, it's always packed, and it's always, an electric atmosphere. We'll play, they're getting ready to announce, we just got picked up nationally by ESPNU for this Marshall game. It'll be an 8 o'clock game, so it's a really big statement for us moving forward. So with that, I'd love to answer any questions that you have about the program, any questions you got on college football, and I'll be as brutally honest as I can with you about what's going on in college football today. Yeah. Yeah, I remember going through that with Juju Smith-Schuster, it was just the young man that played at Alabama, who's 17 years old right now, who's playing. So it all depends on when you entered high school. When you basically entered elementary school. And there are some guys that basically also try to graduate early. And when I was at USC, Juju Smith-Schuster was just a young kid. He played his his freshman year at 17 years old. And he was a grown man, he was a kid in a grown man's body and was ready for that level. Obviously, the young man in Alabama, we were actually coming home on the bus from Atlanta, and the whole team stayed on the bus to watch. And we got back to the facility and we watched the last 5 minutes of that game, and to see the electricity of that 17-year-old and the couple plays he made down the stretch there was really special. But it is something that is all based on when you entered elementary school. And there are some kids, I've got 2 kids right now that are 17 years old that don't have birthdays until November. That'll be 18. So it happens from time to time. That one just happens to be a grown man. He's a special player behind us. What other questions? Yes, sir.
Well, you're talking about young kids, the kid from Carroll, quarterback up there, signed from USC, I think he signed last year. As a sophomore.
Yes.
We're going into senior year. Kids, though, I know 17-year-olds, you said it's a full man, but small quarterback, I think he's very talented.
Yeah, I've always said, and each position is different, and I agree with you at the quarterback position. I truly believe to grow as a quarterback, you need reps, and you need experiences, and you need snaps. I've had that experience before. I had JT Daniels that graduated early and decided he was going to graduate early, and he was ready for the college game. Would it, have helped him to be able to have one more year and gain experience? No question. There's some guys, skilled athletes, I think, wide receivers, DBs are more ready to play early. Offensive linemen, it usually takes a year or two to be able to develop in college. There's a big difference between an 18-year-old young man and now You have 6th, 7th year players that are 23, 24. You know, if you out west with the LDS culture, you know, you may have a 25, 26-year-old that has a family, you know, that's out there. So it is it's something that I think from a quarterback position, I would agree with you. Having been a quarterback coach by trade, get as much experience as you can. I'm seeing it right now with one of my own, Sam Darnold, with the Vikings. He left us at 19 years old, you know, and went to the NFL at 20 years old. You know, and it's taken him 5-6 years to really develop to that level. And now he's ready for the NFL game, and so proud of him. But reps matter, experience matter in anything that you do. It's a great question. Yeah, the question was talk about our conference, especially our side. You know, I really think the Eastern side is really tough. We've got a great opportunity this year because of how things line up with teams coming to Paulson Stadium. You know, we start with Marshall, who's been a contender in this league. Next week, undefeated JMU is at home. The team from the north, out of Boone, North Carolina, is coming to us in the last game. We've got Troy, who's the defending conference champion, coming to our place. So we've got a good lineup at home right now that's going to help us out. Our conference, I think, is extremely strong and had the most bowl teams in the country last year at 12. There was 12 bowl teams last year out of the conference. So from top to bottom, it's extremely strong. I still consider it the premier group of 5 conference that's out there when you look at the combination of all the teams. But the Eastern side is extremely strong, extremely strong. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. No, I tell you, when you look at the Sun Belt, and we were one of the teams over the last 2 years, we've had 8 Power 4 wins over the last 2 years, not counting even this season. Before James Madison had that win, we got a big win against Wake Forest last week in our conference. You know, so you have teams within this conference that I think on any given day can compete with anybody. And James Madison has really hit a hot spot. You know, the first 3 games before that, they were in some close games. And then at the latter half of their 3rd game, and I've watched a little bit of them, the quarterback really turned it on and really got hot. And then all of a sudden he caught fire in North Carolina. He scored 70 points. He scored 63 last week. So a lot of times, and you see this at every level, once the quarterback gets hot, you know, your team gets hot. And that's what you saw happen. South Alabama is another one that has really played well since getting their quarterback back. But a lot of it has to do with how well your quarterback's playing. Great question. Yes, sir.
So you had a UNLV quarterback who left over disputed money and stuff. Is that filtering down? Are you seeing issues with players and stuff?
You know, that's an unfortunate situation. I think one of the things that we're having to adapt to as head coaches is an ever-changing landscape. I mean, I've done it for 3 decades, and y'all have watched it for a long time. You know, the thing that I appreciate about this sport is the brotherhood and the team camaraderie. I don't ever support a decision that's not about the team. You know, I'm so happy that, you know, that young men are getting their opportunities to use their name, their image, their likeness to help themselves and their families. A lot of kids come from very unfortunate situations, and this is their opportunity to do something. You know, you got to remember, only 0.4% of all college football players make it to the next level. That's 99.6 get told no, and so they're using this small window to be able to benefit. And we're totally fine with that as coaches, as long as you're not putting the team below your individual decision making. If it affects the team, then I got an issue with that. I think in that decision, that's unfortunate for their football team. They got a really good football team, and I hope that it doesn't become a trend. You know, it's something that you don't want to see as a coach. I don't think we want to see in college football, to be honest with you. As brutally honest as I can be about it. Yes, back there.
Plans for the future for expansion of the athletic facilities and stuff.
I've got a bad left ear, so I'm going to need to hear it one more time if somebody can pass it along to me. Oh, yes, sir. So over the last 3 years, and Jared Benko, if you haven't had a chance to meet Jared Benko or Dr. Kyle Marrero, our president, you're talking about two of the finest leaders I've ever seen in my 3 decades of coaching. And I think it's really important when you look at an athletic program, the first thing you need to ask yourself is your football program, is your university and your athletic program aligned in leadership? Is your president and your athletic director, do they have the same vision? Are they on the same mission? And are they willing to commit resources, not to be good, but to be great? And that's one of the things that's happened for us. When you look at in my 2 years there's been over $100 million spent for athletic facilities, for our athletic program only, not the university, just the athletic program. And part of that was our indoor facility that now we get to use. I remember the year before I came, 21 practices, South Georgia weather, 21 practices had to be canceled because of weather nowadays and lightning and things that go on. Well, with that indoor facility, we haven't had one practice canceled. That was $15 million. There's a $12 million new baseball facility being built, a $70+ million convocation center for our men's and women's basketball. So you see an alignment between our president, our athletic director, and our community and our alumni that they're willing to commit the resources because they know that our athletic program is the doorstep of Georgia Southern. It's the reason that we've gone from 7,000 students to where we are today, 27,000, because of what Coach Carroll did and Coach Dupree did and the foundation that they led, and they're continuing that commitment. We hope that we become the school that obviously the University of Georgia in this school is the premier, top of the top. We want to be the school that everybody looks at and says, you know what, if I'm not going to Georgia, I'm going to Georgia Southern. It's a special place, it's a special university, it's a special college experience, and they have an unbelievable atmosphere for athletics, and that's what they're trying to create. I appreciate that question. I don't get to recruit very often during this time of year, so I'll recruit y'all. Yes.
Hey, Coach, appreciate y'all playing for the Oxford, going to Danville, going to state, and competition this year. I know the last time I went to Athens, you should have lost. And I want to see y'all get money and somebody like us take that to do that. Is Kirby College going to schedule anytime soon?
I know not in my period of time right now, looking at, we're usually 7 or 8 years ahead. We do have some premier games that are coming up down the road. Next year we go to USC. Next year, so I'm a little excited about that one. And we got the opportunity to play Clemson in the year to follow. BYU is on the slate. We always try, I think it's really important in this 12-team playoff. You have to do what we did this year. You have to challenge yourself and play at Boise State and play an Ole Miss, because when you do your job and you win those games and you win your conference, that's the only way to produce a resume that you can go in and be that 12th team. And that's what we're trying to do at Georgia Southern. We're not there to win just Sun Belt championships. We're to do what Coach Russell and Coach Dupree and Coach Carter, we're there to win. We're there to make a national brand. And that's what we're working for each and every day. So yes, obviously Kirby, Coach Smart, and I have been friends for a while, and I've got so much respect for him, but he's not on the schedule right now. Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, sir.
What's the particular philosophy in taking Georgia Southern from teams traditionally run offense-oriented to much more vertical passing game that we've seen in the last couple of years?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the question was, Coach, you came here and you took an option offense and you made it a more, spread offense, and why? Going from FCS to FBS and trying to create a national product, coaches are good, but players are even better. When you have great players, you can do a lot of great things once you develop them. And so one of the intriguing things to be able to do, and what kids want to see, is having the ability not only to win championships and be successful, but to showcase who they are as a player. and be able to showcase, the ability to possibly go from the college level to the NFL level. And in doing that, we felt like we needed to change systems to be a more intriguing product for high school athletes, to be a passer that can throw for 400 yards and be one of the top 10 passers in the country like we've been the past 2 years, to be a running back like Jalen White who can carry the ball, over 20 times and rush for 116, while another great Georgia product in O.J. Arnold from Brooks County, Georgia, rushed for 110. They rushed for 260 yards last week. To be able to be a wide receiver like Duran Burgess and be able to be a NFL product, offensive lineman that can pass protect. So to be able to be a more intriguing product for Georgia high school kids, we changed the offense. Plus, and it's a gamble, but I've always believed points and wins solve a lot of things. So we need to just continue scoring a lot of points and winning games, and I think everything will work out. Yes, sir.
To speak back on a little bit, the rushing game was 1 point versus Florida State in the last game. How is Springs doing? What do you see as development in ball this year?
Yeah, definitely. A first-year quarterback, you're always scared to death. We were so fortunate coming in our first year to have Kyle Van Treese, and he goes in, he's a top 5 passer in the country. Well, he was a third-year starter, too. That's the expectation. Davis Brin was one of the top 10 passers, in the country. But one of the things that both of them did, we turned the ball over the first 2 years. I thought that we were good. We were a bowl team, but not what we're supposed to be, which is a contender for the conference title. In JC, as we went through it was JC, David Dallas, and Dexter Williams right here from Macon. 3 great quarterbacks. Even any of the 3 could start for us, no question. But JC protected the football. He had 154 live throws in training camp. He had 1 interception. An elite number is 1 in every 100. If you throw 1 interception for every 100 throws, you're elite. And so far, he's only had 1 interception in his first 100. Now he's at 170 right now. He has 1 interception for 100. So he's protecting the football while still pulling the trigger and moving the ball down the field. And that's what he showed in training camp. That's what he's continued to do throughout the season. So he's playing good football, and that's what's putting us in games. I'm still mad as all get out, I still got a burn in my heart being up 37-36 against Boise at Paulson Stadium in the 4th quarter and losing that game. But he's putting us in position to win football games. And I think every quarterback provides hope to the team. He walks on the field and there's hope that we can compete with anybody, and that's what JC's given us. That one here. Yes, sir.
Coach, on the portal, what impact is the portal players and these two players?
Yeah, for us, like I said earlier, 85% of our team is made up of high school football players. But the other part is we've been really selective in some key transfer areas of positions of need. We had to revamp our secondary. So we've taken kids that were from the state of Georgia that maybe have left for other schools. Maybe they were the 2. Really, doesn't mean they're a bad player. T.J. Smith, our starting free safety, made the game-winning pick at the end of the game. He's from the state of Georgia, went to K-State, was the number 2 there, wanted to be the number 1. Brother was a great player at the University of Georgia, wanted to come back home and be the guy. And that's what he's done for us. He's been able to do that. We've also got, an influx of really talented FCS kids. In Chance Gamble, who was at Kennesaw State, a big 6'3" corner who also had a pick in the Georgia State game. We've seen some kids that are really hungry to be able to make that next step and prove that they are worthy of this level. But we've taken them that they're close to home. That they have Georgia ties or the attached states. That's kind of been our formula. And because of it, these are kids that wanted to be here anyways, the high school kids or the kids that are coming back. And what does that do? That gives you very much a lack of attrition. We only lost 2 significant players last year off our team. We lost an offensive tackle to Louisville, and we lost a kicker to USC. The rest of the team stayed. Leading running back, leading receiver state. The rest of our offensive line state. Our defensive front, who I think is really good, state. And a lot of that has become they wanted to be at Georgia Southern. They love the school. They know what it represents. They're proud of it, and so we don't have a lot of attrition. But we're selective in that area. They make up about 15% of our team. Good players that were looking for an opportunity to come home and play a high level of football. Great question. All righty, guys. Well, thank you all so much for the opportunity. And